Alabama, Florida, Florida State, Notre Dame, Southern Cal, and more. Let's talk recruiting.
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back into the Portal Podcast, where you get your daily recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal scoop. I'm your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football writer and recruiting analyst. Thank you for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. We have commitments to discuss. We have programs about to get several more commitments as well, and another big recruiting weekend ahead of us. We are absolutely in the middle of prime recruiting season, so let's get to it. First off, Florida. They knocked on the door and got a couple more guys to commit. I think the Gators have really flipped the script. Give them some credit as a staff. They went from really not having much of a class at all. They were down to one guy. They're up to double digits now. J. Raylan McCoy, Marquez Daniel, have committed this weekend. And there's going to be more on Monday. As I do this podcast before it even goes up, it's possible there's another commitment. Florida has several more guys on that fringe. It's the wild ride of recruiting. So again, props to Billy Napier and his staff. Speaking of about to go on a run, it's been odd how it's gone through so far. Alabama has 6 commitments, which is a pretty low total, to be quite frank. But they are trending for several 5 stars, and they're in the midst of probably getting the better part of 10 commitments over the next 2 to 3 weeks. They might be the hottest team on the trail in terms of quote-unquote trending. So here are just a few of the kids that they're either going to get or finish in the next, let's say, the next few weeks. They're going to finish number 2 or 3. Like they're just in on everybody. They got Sam Mutu recently out of Lutheran out there in LA, big-time offensive tackle, really good football player. But Cedarian Morgan, arguably the best player in Alabama from Benjamin Russell. He's probably going to end up picking Bama. He decides July 2nd. You got Anthony Jones from St. Paul's Episcopal down in Mobile. Looks like Alabama's the best bet there. Xavier Crowell, the elite running back who reclassed to the class of 26, should have been a 27 kid. He's from Jackson, Alabama, state champion. Alabama's trending there as well. Emmanuel Ruffin out of Bessemer City, Alabama, defensive tackle, 6'4", 290. There's some stiff competition, but most people think he's going to go to Alabama again. Then they had the 5-star Brandon Arrington out of the San Diego area, just on campus this past weekend. He had a tremendous visit to Alabama. If they add another elite corner, you could make an argument that Alabama's corner room is as good as anybody's in the country. That would be a big addition. Or he could play receiver. He's just an incredible talent. Elijah Golden was just on campus at Bama. That's a big one. And then we've got Jaira Edwards, the St. Francis safety, big-time player. He got a prediction to go to Bama along a whole bunch of programs that are after. Probably the best safety in the country, all-around coverage, hitting, knowing where to be. Jair Edwards could end up for Alabama. Then there's Jet Washington out of Bishop Gorman out in Vegas. That's a kid they've been in on forever. They've got a great shot at him. Nolan Wilson out of Picayune in Mississippi. Auburn, LSU, Ole Miss. They're competing with some of those schools, but Nolan Wilson could end up at Bama. Then Titan Davis and KJ Ford out of DeSmet Jesuit in St. Louis and Duncanville, Texas, respectively, or 2 more big-time defensive linemen they're in on that they might get in the next few weeks. So Bama has 6 commits right now, but that number is probably going to reach up over 10. And I just think some of them. So I just wanted to mention that today on the recruiting blitz. Going down the list, something that I saw that was interesting, that shocked me and probably surprised some other people. Lamar Brown, the defensive lineman out of Baton Rouge, is not going to take his official visit to LSU this upcoming weekend. I haven't read into that, but he just finished up his A&M visit. Is he going to A&M? I don't know. I need to check on that, but that is a really interesting development. That's a kid that everybody thought was going to LSU or Texas A&M. Why would he not take his OB? Unless he's backtracking that to the season for LSU, got to think that A&M's in a pretty good spot. Speaking of A&M, they just got a really athletic player out of the Houston area, Caden Johnson, 6'6", 220. He's going to play tight end for the Aggies. Zion Legree, wide receiver out of Niceville, Florida, a player that I know well, 6'1", 200 pounds. He is physically ready for the college game. He's going to go play for Wisconsin. Great pickup for the Badgers. That was not expected. They have a decent class so far, but they haven't met the expectations they need, and they certainly need to get more players on the perimeter. Zion Legree is something that Wisconsin doesn't normally get. Again, 6'1", 200 pounds, physically ready for the college game as you're going to be for a high school kid. That's a great pickup for that staff. Jay Raylan McCoy and Marquez Daniel, I talked about with Florida. Again, just as a reminder, they're probably going to get more commits today. Clemson, look for them to end up with Dre Quinn. It's not done yet, but I think he's going to end up going to Death Valley. He's one of the top defensive linemen in the state of Georgia. He's transferred recently to Buford High School. Several other schools are trying to get him, Texas, Georgia, Notre Dame, etc. But right now, watch out for Clemson. UCLA should get a commitment later today, barring something unforeseen. We got Kingston Shermer, 6'3", 280 out of Centennial, greater LA area, has committed to Cal. I don't know what's going on with Cal recruiting, but they have just absolutely killed it in the trenches. Good for them, man. It's great to see another program kind of step up, take that challenge. Good for the Cal Bears. Parker Ort, BYU, 6'4", 210 out of Panther Creek in the greater Dallas area. Flex tight end heading over to play for the Cougars. Cameron McGee, massive, 6'3", 330 pounds out of Grayson High School just outside of Atlanta. He's going to play for Arkansas. Then we got Desmond Johnson, 6'1", 195 pounds out of Miami Northwestern. He is going to be a Pitt Panther. When we come back, I'm going to talk a little bit about Notre Dame and a few more programs here on the Portal Podcast. And I also want to touch on something that everybody needs to understand with the next couple of weeks with recruiting. That is next here on the Portal Podcast. There's nothing like the NBA Finals, the intensity, buzzer beaters, and fans losing their minds. It's the kind of atmosphere you must experience live. And the Pacers and the Thunder have had a great series so far. Tied up at 2-2, you can get your chance to go check out a home game for either one of those teams, no matter where you live, and Game Time can help you make it happen. As the game gets closer, the prices actually go down, up to 60% off with Game Time. And if you want to buy something else, you're not into NBA basketball, MLB, soccer, whatever it may be, you can do that. And you can always go to a comedy show or a theater. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Let's talk a little bit about Notre Dame and kind of a trend here. This is what Bama did. So I talked about this a little bit. They went after the elite kids. They played the long game, and they're trying to get the kids to commit before signing day. They really don't care when. Brandon Arrington, Titan Davis, all these players all around the country. Notre Dame's doing the same thing. Joey O'Brien, Kari Adams, several other players are competing with Penn State and Clemson and other guys. They're still trying to get Drake Quinn, but we'll see if they can get him on campus. Who knows? Bottom line, if you are not playing the long game for the elite recruits, do not expect to eventually end up in the college football playoff. Too many coaches in college football in the past and now take the low-hanging fruit. What do I mean by that? I don't want to work too hard. I don't want to go after the elite guys because we may not get them. I just want to get guys, keep my job, just do good. Well, in today's world, that'll get you fired too, and it's certainly not going to help you get to the college football playoff. So if you're paying attention to recruiting, know this. It's not the total commitments that you have right now. Notre Dame, Alabama, Clemson, etc. It's the visits that you have lined up and the long-term relationships that you have built with these young men, their families, their high school coaches, their trainers, their 7-on-7 coaches, their family members. Yes, all of it. That is how you win in recruiting. Bama and Notre Dame are two of them, Clemson another that has done a great job with that. And although I haven't talked about them today, Ohio State over the last several years and this year as well, same principle. You must play the long game. Florida, to a certain degree, has done that as well. Florida State, Chauncey Kennon's a kid they might get. They played the long game. Georgia and some other teams. Looks like they're going to get Chauncey Kennon, arguably the best corner in the state of Florida. But back to Notre Dame. Look for Joey O'Brien and Ricari Adams and a few more of the guys they had in this past weekend to commit, but not necessarily right now. They might get a few guys this weekend, but Notre Dame and everybody else, this is annoying, but this is how they do it. They try to spread out the commitments just to constantly stay in the news. Kid tells them they're coming, then they have a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before they commit. Why it's that way, I don't know. There are several players. Nick Reddish, they've got a great chance at a DB out of Charlotte, just off the top of my head. Frizzell, the tight end out of Ohio. Notre Dame is doing a great job, again, playing the long game. And kid like Frizzell, they really got in late in May, but he likes Notre Dame a lot. That's a possibility. The McHugh kid out of the same high school as Joey O'Brien, they've got a great chance with him. They've been very patient. And they've got a few more visits coming up this next weekend. We'll see what happens. But if Notre Dame is able to get Elijah Golden, he may end up at Bama, but if they can get Elijah Golden on campus, that's another possibility. You have to believe in yourself. Those are the kinds of programs getting it done. On the flip side of that, this is the rarest of rare. USC was at 27 commitments or something? One of the greatest runs that I've seen early ever. And they just got another kid to commit to, and he's one of the best players in the country, and he's from Hawaii, so he doesn't get the attention that he deserves. Probably going to mispronounce this, so my apologies. Talanoa Ewing, the linebacker out of Kahuku, Hawaii. I think I'm pronouncing that properly, but 6'3", 215. He can really run. That's a 2 or 3 year starter at Southern Cal. UCLA, Notre Dame, and pretty much everybody else in the country wanted that kid. The Bruins and Irish were probably next up on his list, but he has committed to USC as well. They played the long game for him while they went after the other kids. They found that niche where, okay, there's a handful of kids that we're going to wait for, but these other guys, if they'll come in early, we'll take them. So USC was a little bit of a blend, but they still played the long game for an elite player, and that's what you have to do. I'm sure that Chad Bowden and all the people at USC, they would have rather have gotten him earlier, sure, but you have to be patient and play the long game. So that's a big part of it. Last comment here for today. Look for several commitments between now and Wednesday, but next week and then onward, there will be 50 commitments a day kind of thing. The number of commits will be crazy. Some of them will be people or some will not, but the June 20th weekend, this coming weekend, is the last official visit weekend. Then it goes to a dead period until we get into August, and I don't even know if August has any visits available. I'm not sure what the NCAA has done with that, but July is dead. Kids will be committing, but they're not going to be able to take more visits, unofficial or otherwise, dead period. So this week is huge for everybody in college football recruiting. So we can see a little bit of everything, but look for Florida, Notre Dame, Clemson, definitely Alabama. That's the one I think over the last 3 to 4 days is trending more than anybody would be the Crimson Tide. Auburn, forgot to mention them, my apology, but they're in on a few kids I didn't necessarily think they were going to have a chance. Braylon Womack could be at Auburn or Ohio State. If they pull that off, that would be a huge advantage for Auburn. They've got a good DB room anyway, but his sister goes to Auburn too. That's a program to watch. So there's a lot going on in recruiting, and it's hard to keep up, but please stay locked in here on the Portal Podcast. We truly appreciate you stopping in. Please hit that like button, that notification bell, subscribe to this podcast, and please leave a comment. We will see you again soon on the Portal Podcast.